Great Nigerians, once again, you're welcome to your favorite program, Nigeria Today. I know been long you watch Nigeria Today, it has always been issues of the moment. Today, we're bringing to you Nigeria Today. In Nigeria Today, we're going to look at only two important topics as it affects our country generally. One is going to be on Dino Melaye, who has cried out over the election malpractice and the violent attack in Kogi State. And also a Nigerian student of 13 years as a graduate who has to burn his NYSC certificate and degree certificate and said he has given up on Nigeria and Nigeria has nothing to offer to him. In as much as so many persons from many corners are blaming him for doing that, but we are going to our analyst is in the house to look at that. A graduate and not just a graduate and a master's degree holder in a wonderful professional field who is also an experienced person. So we are going to look at that and he is going to do justice to this topic, and then he asks you to hold and watch and also listen. At the fullness of time, we will open the phone line so that you make a contribution and ask questions where necessary. In the studio with me today is Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi. Comrade Nnamdi Lekwachi is a historian, not just a historian, he's also a political affairs analyst, an experienced human affairs analyst, and also an evangelist. He is aware, and he is a man who loves dealing with dates and numbers. You know, it takes a copious knowledge of the past to shape the future, and that is why he is here today. And Comrade, welcome to the program.
Thank you for having me. Good day to you. Good day. Viewers out there.
All right, as usual, I'm your anchorman, Chinedum Adiele. Today, we are first and foremost, we are going to visit the Kogi election and what happened, and the comments of Dino Melaye. Dino Melaye, we know, is a senator, was a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and recently contested for the governorship of the Kogi State. And then, we know what played out. There are so many comments concerning 3 states that are involved in this election, and then a lot of commentators have blamed our neck, and then even the security agents that were directly involved. But until we hear from Dino Melaye, and then we move on from there. Before it is important, not just watching at that Dino Melaye. After Dino Melaye, we're going to go on break, and when we come back, watch a Nigerian student, 13 years outstanding as a graduate, who has to burn his certificate. The question should be why. That is your question. You didn't get those certificates as a result of scholarship. Why burning them? You will see his reasons when we get to that. First and foremost, let us watch Dino Melaye. Let us have a clip of the Kogi State election and Dino Melaye's comments, please. Let's have that.
I've manifested more than ever before that they cannot be trusted. They are biased, they are compromised, and they cannot be a neutral umpire. INEC officials, youth corps members were caught yesterday with prepared result sheets even before the commencement of the processes leading to the election. A youth corps member was caught yesterday with 1 million naira in his bag, complete 1 million naira, with a prepared results already. There was deliberate suppression of my votes in Lokoja and Kogi local government. This was deliberately done by Yaya Bello and the APC to make sure that even in their orchestrated arrangements, I don't come second, because they do believe that there will be a second ballot. And they believe that if there's a second ballot, I have tremendous influence and support in the central, and I can build an inroad in the east. So they will prefer any other person to come second who will find it difficult to have support in the central and in the west. So with these various malpractices that have bedeviled this election, I call for the total cancellation of this election. I call for a total repentance from INEC, where we will now conduct a credible poll. I am not perturbed, I am not worried, I am not disturbed. To the glory of God, I am okay. But it is just pathetic, and I sympathize with the people of Kogi State. I sympathize with the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and I weep for our country. I weep for generations yet unborn, that in the 21st century, you have an umpire, you have an INEC that is biased. You will be shocked, as I am, that after all the promises by Mahmoud Yakubu, that Mahmoud Yakubu cannot wash his hands out of this calamity. There is no way Yaya Bello and the APC will have access to sensitive INEC documents without the collaboration of the highest level in INEC. They had result sheets before the election. These result sheets are supposed to be in the CBN. They are sensitive materials that should not be tampered with. So how did APC gain access to ballot papers? How did they gain access to original result sheets? It shows that we have no INEC, we have no umpire, we only have an institution that is aiding fraud, that is aiding corruption, and that is aiding rigging.
Wonderful years. I'm sure you heard Dino Melaye cry out, lament about what happened in Kogi State. The pathetic aspect of it is saying that we don't have umpires. And the electoral, the INEC chairman and all the staff of INEC who are supposed to serve as umpires, they be all biased and so on. And the most touching aspect of his story is that even before the arrival of the electoral materials, that the result sheets were out, they were not even there. And a youth corps member caught with ₦1 million in his or her purse, right there and then, and nothing happened. He said if INEC want to be seen as credible, this election should be called off. And his ask was just like what happened in Imo State. As yesterday in this platform, we talked about LP and PDP asking for 2 weeks for INEC to run that election. But today, both AA and ABGA has joined LP and PDP to ask for the rerun of that election. That's exactly what Dino Melaye of Kogi State is also asking for. Comrade.
Yes. Certainly we've come to a point where we all can agree that we don't have institutions and we don't have system. You understand? Let me say this about these institutions. And when we talk about institutions, we talk about the courts, the umpire, and then even the political parties, and then the governing class. Let me begin with the courts. We don't have justice system any longer. What we have is just, or what we have are just some corrupt justices and judges, with all due respect to their lordships, and then some few, many corrupt justices, and then few incorruptible ones, the ones that have actually refused to soil their hands in the system. And that is why when you are constituting a panel, you are likely to get more of the corrupt ones in majority, because you are talking about odd number panel. You are likely to get the corrupt ones in the majority. So if you have to constitute a panel now, and I can tell you that categorically, I can tell you that we can if that reduce everything to a number of 10, about 7 to 8 people who are in the bench, or who are on the bench, or who are in the judiciary, they are all corrupt. And then 2 or few of them are no longer there. Then remember the speech, the valedictory speech, the farewell speech, the valedictory speech from a retiring justice of this country. He indicted his colleagues. You understand? So the profession, you understand, the silk profession has actually suffered a drastic low. In fact, the reputation of the judiciary in Nigeria is, I can no longer tell you, is being dragged to the public. But I can tell you that we have a system where after election, citizens will write to America, will write to Canada, will write to Australia, say, don't allow these men to come into your country, they are corrupt. It speaks volumes of what is at stake here. Then the system where a senator, Bukachua, woke up to tell the world and his wife in a valedictory session of the 9th Assembly too, that he was influencing his wife, Justice Bukachua, of the Supreme Court, President of the Supreme Court, to have favorable judgments awarded to members of that hallowed chamber. He said it. It was on camera. We have a system where justice is transactional. Just look at the industrial court. The federal government that does not even obey both domestic court order and international court order, like the one of ECOWAS and the rest of them, is the one that will tell the level to obey court order. Because they do not understand that recklessness will beget recklessness. You understand? So we don't have a justice system in this country. That's number one. And that's saying that judiciary is the last of the common man. To me, it's banished in Nigeria. That's by the way. Then you come to INEC, institution like INEC. People believe that the INEC chairman or whoever has that umpire cannot exceed certain limits in the exhibition of moral rectitude because of appointment and affiliation with the presidency. You understand? And I will tell you something. You see, it is unfortunate that this INEC chairman is still there after all the things that happened, and that he will still be there till 2025, which means he will be the one to begin the build-up of 2027 election. He will be the one to begin the build-up, and there are grave allegations standing against him. I'm saying allegations were rife some couple of weeks ago. What were these allegations about? They say the INEC chair, after the president awarded, former President Buhari awarded increase of salary by 40% to commission staff members. He had never been able to implement that. That's number one. Then number two, people who go to conduct this election under the worst of circumstances, security threats, what have you, volatile environment, they are supposed to be paid personal travel allowance. This man doesn't pay that money. That's the allegation from staff members of the commission. So, and yet he is there. The man who lied with his own mouth. He appeared before the Chatham House and then was addressing people, the international community. He said elections will be, election results will be transmitted electronically, only for him to do what? To start saying that, so these are the things you see that you know that on the average, and I want to thank Nigerians for loving this country so much. The Nigerians are the most patriotic people on earth. The things we suffer here, insufferable circumstances we put up with, it can never happen in Egypt. In fact, what is happening what triggered the Arab Spring of 2011, January, February 2011, is just a little thing compared to what has happened in this country. You understand? Yet we want to understand the government. You understand? Now, why is Dino Melaye saying this? Dino Melaye is a politician. He was once in the APC camp. Today he is in PDP camp. And it's not because of Dino Melaye, but it's about our institution. I'll tell you something. The Kogi State election results should not be upheld by any reasonable umpire. Why? Because it's some of those reports. Now listen, this system we have today, accreditation means you voted. Accreditation is no longer the same thing as it used to be before. When you accredit, after you are accredited, you have to go back, maybe birth or do whatever you want to do, then come back to vote. Accreditation could start in those days by 9 a.m. and finish by 12 p.m. or as in 12 noon or 1 p.m. Then voting will start by 2 or by 3 and finish by 5 or 6. It depends on the schedule or what is in the guideline. Now, number of accredited voters in most cases, in most polling units and local government, number of accredited voters was lower than the number of the results they uploaded to the beavers. That shows corruption on the part of the commission, and nobody's talking about that. Whereas the Electoral Act gave the commission the power and the mandate to review within 7 days every result. Why didn't they review all these results? And this is the same thing they failed to do during the presidential election. People thought they would have used this window to correct that mistake. They didn't do anything. All the states incumbent won because it's like Emperor said here yesterday. They have understood that for you to win, you just have to put 2 and 0 behind a particular number to outscore your opposition or your opponent, and that's what is happening here. We are seeing mutilated results.
All right, before we move on, because we have some other things to look at. There is one other statement he made here. He said he wept for Nigeria.
Yeah.
And then that he's crying for even yet unborn Nigerians.
Yes.
Because of what is happening.
Exactly.
And the institution called INEC has failed. And then, and they should not be referred to as the umpire we all know them for. Because now, let me ask you, as an umpire, they are appointed. I think we should start faulting the constitution of this country. Why would the president be the person to appoint an umpire? And why wouldn't that umpire dance to his tune?
Yes, that is why there have been calls before now to that effect, that the president, that the powers of appointment of the president be reviewed, that those powers be reviewed. The president, you see, the president cannot lose election easily in the system because he appoints. You see, after the election, you go to court. So who appoints the CJN? It's the president. So who will constitute the panel that will look into the matter? Is the CJN, which means ipso facto, the president is already a judge in his own case. That's the meaning. The president is already a judge in his own case by virtue of power of appointment bestowed on him or vested in him by the constitution. He will appoint the chief justice of the federation, and the chief justice will be the one to head the Supreme Court and then appoint those who will be in the panel, which means the president is somehow indirectly a judge in his own case. So after the election, now you see, even the police IG, those who are going to provide the election, those who are going to provide security for the election or the election
IG is also appointed by Mr. President.
The IG is appointed by the Mr. President. Now you bring it back to INEC. INEC chair is also an appointment of the president, and the budget comes from the presidency. So how do you expect that an umpire, given that here is Africa, unfortunately, where people are elected into power, not into office, because office makes you accountable, power makes you brazen and corrupt, and then to wear the cloak of impunity without shame. You understand? And that is why you can have a state like Imo State. Someone was telling in the morning, he said, not even start on Mbakwe of blessed nobody could win all the government in the state. Then you have the Senator Hope Uzodinma. He won landslide across the entire 27.
Even when you have other contestants from the same state.
And we know their stand, we know their political status, we know they've been to, in fact, 3 of them were at the Senate at the same time in 2015. Athanasius Achono of the party was elected into the Senate in 2015 until the Supreme Court ruled, until the appeal court cancelled his election. Then Sam Anyang of the same PDP in this last election in Imo State was also at the Senate by that time. So they know themselves very, very well, and their history dates back in time. So you want to tell us that all the 27 local government councils agreed that that's, you see, and then you see this other allegation of INEC, a youth corps member having 1 million naira on him that day. You should be thoroughly investigated. That's why you have the EFCC, ICPC. Election in Nigeria has been monetized. That we now talk about vote buying. In some places in Kogi State, people receive 15,000 naira. That some families were praying that every weekend should be election. They were praying that every weekend should be election.
Somebody also mentioned that about Imo State.
Yes, people are now saying, please, so let election be every weekend so that we have something to eat. Because the political class had actually created this poverty, which they have sustained and weaponized it to the extent that they have warped the mind of the average Nigerian to become a crumb seeker. You understand? The crumbs falling on the table.
All right, before we go, let us look at this with what is happening and so on. Is it proper for a president or whoever, whether governor or local government chairman, to be sworn in when there are matters against him, both in court and even and other agitations?
You see, if I have the ears of the president, unfortunately I do not. If I have the ears of the president, I will be telling him something about electoral reforms. I do say it here often that when he was elected, President Omar Musa God rest his soul, went to the G8, now G7, following the expulsion of Russia. He was asked a question. They were asking him, what is your major challenge in Nigeria? They were wanting to hear things like economy, Niger Delta conflict, because then economic sabotage and the vandalization of certain installations were just at their peak then, alarming heights then. This man told the world then, no, my major challenge is electoral process. and he inaugurated the always committee. He said, go and make fine. The recommendation, the recommendations always committee came up with included that election litigations be concluded before swearing in. Exactly. If you have listened to what President Goodluck and former President said, he said very soon, if case not that we may have off-season or off-cycle presidential election, which may be to an extent an aberration. In America, before you swear in someone, all outstanding issues must have been settled. Other places, the same thing. Unfortunately, you see, in this country, we have no regard for the law. The other day, Kenya had an election. I came to understand that the same body in charge of boundary, in charge of population, is the same body conducting election. But in Nigeria, we have INEC for election. And INEC will still carry out the notation of constituencies. You understand what I'm saying now? Then you have boundary commission. You also have national population commission. West, at the end of the day, we don't even have data about our population. We can't even say this is the number of the working class, of the active population, of the dependent population. We can't even use INEC data to do anything reasonable. We can't even use the MPC, that's the population commission data. Or can we use the boundary commission that to do anything like? You understand? You go to immigration now, you need to bring your BVN, you need to bring certain information, whereas this thing should be embedded in the system already. So it's unfortunate where we are. So I think what Melaye said is in order. INEC has failed Nigerians, and it should be a shameful thing that Mahmoud Yakubu is still there. Also, it's not just about him, but the corrupt professors. I don't know what those ones are going to teach students tomorrow. You understand? I'm not saying here that ABC should not win election or that PDP should not win election. I am saying if you must win, let the process be credible. Let the process be free and fair. Let the process be transparent. Let it be hitch-free. Unfortunately, INEC has not been able to live up to the mandate. And this INEC, I don't blame them. Do you know why? They are not a creation of the constitution. They were created through a military decree. So that is why they can give you this kind of election.
All right. Our wonderful viewers, we're going to go on a very short break. Remember, we're coming back with a very important issue that you must contribute to. And as soon as we come back, the phone lines will be open. And then you will call, tell us where you're calling us from, and then your contributions or questions based on that. Well, like our analyst said, we don't blame them because they are not. As is not as a result of a constitution, the ANEC is not a constitutional provision, but a decree and the military. Whatever it is, the individuals are involved, especially a professor. In Igbo we say is Marahado, a man who should know little about everything and know everything about one particular thing. That makes you a professor, and that's to say you are supposed to know it. Having said this, we'll be coming back in a very short while. Don't go away until we are back. Great Nigerians and wonderful viewers and fans of Living Television, I am happy you are still there. Thank you for being part of today's program. Today's program, I want to believe and also think it is very sensitive for all and sundry, especially this second segment of our program. We are talking about a Nigerian student who graduated about 10 or 14 years ago and had gone throughout the federation looking for a job. I couldn't find any. And then the mega jobs he's doing are the ones old. Like he told us, you're going to listen to him and also see what happens. He told us that the job he's doing that is fetching him something is the job of his classmate who he had elementary sex with, who could not even go into the secondary school. And is the person that employed him. He is now asking what is the essence of going to the university. And he decided to burn his certificates, his NYSC certificate and so on. And then he's asking and advising Nigerians to go and learn work and forget about university education. But no, a lot of people are frowning at that. Why burning the certificates? And then that was a very harsh and rash decision. And that decision was very, very impulsive. Well, you're going to see it yourself, and then we now talk about it. Our analyst is seated, and so that we'll look at it, who is also a graduate, and then he will tell us how many years he's been there, and then what has been happening to him. And then we'll compare it with what we are seeing on the screen. Let us see that. Let's have that video count on that video clip on that Nigerian student. Let's have it, please.
I want to burn my certificate. I won't burn my certificate. I don't finish school now. 13 good years. In fact, it don't enter 14. So I swear to God, I have not used, and this is my NYC certificate. You see, now my NYC certificate with this.
An original one. No.
Now my original one with this, still limited. Now the school I finished from with this. You see, that's my university. Now this is my primary school, Command Children's School. It's now Lungi Barracks. It was Gardiner School Barracks. Now my file for my, in fact, this is my jam, but it's useless.
Why you want to burn your certificate?
Why I want burn them? See, 13 years, and I swear, every job what I don't do, now job where I dey drag with people who no go school. So why you can't get, what's the essence of certificate? What I want burn now, I go burn everything. Now more no say now job, because this country now to get certificate be like waste of time. If you ain't a certificate we get for this country, you won't travel out. They go they tell you say, you know if you use the certificate, you go release something. So why you having this rubbish? Even to be president now, you feel for a certificate. This is it. Look at where. This is my NYC. See am. Record them. Now my NYC with this. Laminated. This one is my secondary school.
No bond this certificate now, beg.
Okay, this one is primary school. I no been that secondary school. Man, no been waiting. This is my.
You know the day we work go come now.
My brother, maybe we know see all of us now, Maybe we know say for the country. Now work way illiterate they do, person no go school.
I in the Bonamo.
I never start. I don't want to make a fire catch. Don't be this so.
When I say in the Bonamo.
Don't be say touch.
Why they burn your certificate?
There is no essence. Now the certificate with this. You finish school. See, I even advise, show my face, make it. I advise. Now be this, show this again. Now be this. In this country now, you better say you go learn work. Say you learn work. And I'm telling you the truth. Now, waiting for so important say of recent, person why they go beg for work. Now, my friend for primary school, we no go university. And this is 13 good years. I finished school 2010. Go serve my nonsense nation. See, I'm my NIC with this. I finish. See the number. You can go and cross check it. Laminated. Nonsense.
One of the years, respect, they say, does not mean cowardice, but a court can break. When the respected does not reciprocate to that respect. This is a Nigerian graduate, 13 years outstanding, and has been looking for a job here and there, and resolved to burning his certificate, setting them on fire. And then I don't know what that means. And then he's telling Nigerians and other youth that it's better you learn handwork and not talking and not getting pride of being proud of Nigerian university. I am a graduate and all that work. Now the person that employed him is his schoolmate in primary school who could not obtain a WAEC for primary school. That is the person that is paying him. Comrade,
Yes.
you are a graduate.
Yes.
Not just a first degree holder.
What I want to understand this young man's frustration, but I want to condemn the act of burning the certificates. It's condemnable. The certificates are revocable. University that issued you a certificate can revoke the certificate. You who is a recipient of the certificate can also revoke the certificate or reject the certificate and return to the university and write to them officially telling them to remove you on their list of graduates from that state you graduated from, or even make a case that you no longer want to be associated with the degree. You understand? People had actually returned their certificate in one way or the other. It is returnable. You understand? This act may encourage other frustrated elements in this country to begin to burn their certificate. And before you know it now, since it is a social media culture or a social media thing, you know, this cancel culture of a thing, that you now begin to talk about what hashtag burn your certificate. People begin to burn their certificates and it becomes a culture. You understand? We have to be careful and mindful what we exhibit. So this act is condemnable and I condemn it. He should have at best written to his university and then his primary schools, but it's unfortunate he was burning even the primary school yes, and even the secondary school. Now why not write to these institutions or these authorities and then tell them you are no longer interested in getting the certificate? Return the certificate to them. They will write you a letter to acknowledge that you are no longer on their record or in their record as their product. You understand? It becomes official than this. But I want to say this: there was a particular experience I had in Nigeria while seeking employment in 2013 when President Goodluck Jonathan was there. We all came for immigration aptitude test, job screening. First, as insensitive as the Nigerian institutions are, they subjected citizens, Nigerians, to martial arts as a kind of drill. They said before you write this exam, you must run, you must do this. Many people whose body were no longer, or their system were no longer attuned to such things, nearly passed out. The exam began, the exam paper began. I'm talking about 2013. Anybody who remembers that exercise will understand what I'm saying. There was, in fact, limited material. There were limited materials for the exam. Positive in terms of what? Writing materials and the rest. So then the whole thing led to a stampede, crowd. You understand? Stampede. And then before you know it, people died. People died in Lagos. Alone, many people collapsed. We saw all these things in Abuja. People died too. Then at news time, you understand? During the news time, the Minister of Interior, Abamoro, was invited at the national television, just like I am, as I am now. He said those who died exhibited impatience. I'm using his words. He said he blamed those who died. A minister of the federation. So if you are a youth, how will you be happy with the country? I don't want to talk about my personal experience, but I know what I graduated with. I know the number of years I stayed before I started getting something. You understand?
From the federal government?
Not from the federal government. From private institutions.
Okay, not states.
Not even states, you understand? You know, it took me years, like 2 or 3 years, before I could even begin to find my feet, and it was horrible. His experience, I believe, should be in book, not something I didn't talk about. I want to, when I do my memoir, and to encourage others. You understand? Coming up. Now, we have a system where even those in government don't even value this education sector. If they do, they will increase the budget and funding for education. Then they will not have their children schooled abroad. You live in a country where a PAMSEC who doesn't earn up to, at the state level, who doesn't earn more than 400,000 naira, will have a child abroad. You live in a country where a PAMSEC at the federal level, who doesn't earn more than 1 million naira a month, will have a child or 2 or 3 of them in Harvard, Oxford, wherever. And the poor people, the poorest of the poor, will keep languishing, battling to pay the over 200,000 naira they are told to pay at the university level. So your child will graduate after paying 200,000 naira per session. He will graduate to start up life with 40,000 naira. Is that not frustration? It's frustrating. So this country is not, in fact, this country, you see, there was a time a mathematics graduate, first class, went back to the farm. The video was circulated everywhere. And then a young graduate who left with either first class or so, saw 5,000 Ozibanjo was coming and held out a placard saying, I'm a graduate of first class without job. I think that advocacy or that was one man rally. And him or her a placement. Yes, he got a placement. But I want to say this, you see, we have a system where the political class are very, very consciously they want to undermine education. A minister of the federation, minister of health, said that doctors in Nigeria should not bother to get employed to seek plum or white collar jobs, that they should go to the farm. That his Taylor, the one who make his suit, then was also a medical doctor. You can imagine that insensitivity the political class exhibits. You understand? When we go to National Assembly, we hear things like 70 billion naira for palliative for just 469 members of the National Assembly. Then you are giving states 2 billion naira. This country should be ashamed of itself. You are giving states 2 billion, 5 billion, state of more than 5 billion persons. States, a state like Lagos State will now get 5 billion naira.
Just 1 minute, please. The phone line is now open. 091682849994. I take it again. You can call us now. Tell us your name, where you're calling from, your contributions or your question based on the discourse on ground. 091682849994. Go ahead.
Yes, and it became a horrible thing that now the Japan wave is there now. Who are the most affected? The youths. They are struggling. My father used to tell me that before in the 1970s he used to send money to people who are schooling abroad. Yes. He would send money to them from Naira. He will send Naira to them and they will be happy. That when your child gets when his passport is visa, is stamped to go abroad and study, family will hold a for and they will cry. Today we celebrate people who are living in this country because we believe that here is no longer, that this place can no longer be fixed. Even the political class, they are aware. You see, they are aware. So why are their children all abroad? So they make laws. If they want to get education fixed, they should increase the budget. See, there is this understanding that there's a guideline from the United Nations Education Fund, that's UNICEF. They said, UNESCO, United Nations Education Scientific Cultural Organization. UNESCO said every nation desirous of attaining SDG or any development more that should invest at least 25 to 26% of her national budget to education. The former Minister of Education, Adamu said there was nowhere the UNESCO said that. Later, Adamu said he was forced, that he didn't know anything about education. He wasn't supposed to be there. You understand what I'm saying now? So in this country we have killed that sector. So every time, I didn't say that if we are a country that loves learning. The other day I was passing through Umaya, I saw one institute. If you are coming through Umaya, if you are just coming through Towa, one agricultural institute, go there, you will not see him. You will not even find fertilizer. You will not even see tractor. You will not even see a harvester. You will not even see a plower. You will not even see improved seedling. One variety of improved seedling. So this is the kind of system we run here, and those institutions are rotting. They are gathering dust and they are following. Whereas these were the institutions Michael Bapara and Simon Bako used to fight poverty. That by 1950s, the eastern region of Old became the fastest growing economy in West Africa and then Sub-Saharan Africa. So today, we have relegated all those responsibilities. We have a system, of course, when you have a system where elected officials and appointed officials don't even have up to what this young man has. You understand? Now, I will tell you something. We live in this country where a former minister forged her NYC certificate. Even after schooling abroad, she forged that because she had no exemption letter from that body. She forged that. It became a serious. The administration that claimed that they were fighting against corruption or that they were fighting corruption could not bring that minister to justice. And she went like that. Now, we've had cases where other appointees failed to even present ordinary primary school SARS. So we have a lot of, it is in Nigeria a shameful thing that we go to court and the president or anybody will be saying, don't expose my academic record. What does that mean? So they have set a precedent. In fact, they have set a standard that the people, the younger ones or the young ones now who have the certificate to now say, what is the use. For you telling that, you remember that last 3-4 years, something was trending. Do you still remember education and scam? It was trending online, education and scam, education and scam. And unfortunately, the Nigerian university system, being as corrupt as it is, then I'm talking about the Nigerian school system, the ones where the professors who are leading the nation are coming from. Now listen, they have not been able to integrate vocational aptitude, the things they should be talking about. Now see, Aba doesn't have a very robust business school. Yet Aba is the business, in fact, it's the commercial nerve center of the southeast. There is none. I know the one on the chart. I do not know the volume of the result they turn out yearly. But I want to say this: a lot is happening in Aba that needs to be studied, and the model used to do what to create a sustainable pathway in our economy. Now every day we see back here, people are enjoying Facebook, people are enjoying Twitter, people are enjoying WhatsApp, people are on Instagram, they are on Telegram, everywhere. Some of these things were product of Silicon Valley. You understand what I'm saying now? Silicon Valley, where you have a high institution and then people there were actually able to do this, and now they are now the new money class globally. Money is no longer in oil, it is technology. And now we have a lot of new startups in Nigeria. What is the government doing to encourage digital technology growth? You understand? In United States, do we even have any single optic fiber that we can talk about that will generate network, and then do we even have all those things? Do we even have them? What is the plan of government at the state level, at the federal level? So it's unfortunate that we have a system where the worst of us are governing the best of us, and that is why people want to leave the shores of this country, and it is being celebrated.
All right, looking at that, before we leave for today, it is important to look at what that young man said, why he is burning his certificates and so on. And then we know we are living in a Nigeria where it doesn't really matter whether you have a first class or not. It is not about what you know in Nigeria. It is about who you know. There are some of them who are worse off than that young man, who are sitting in better offices and so on. Now, with what has happened, what advice do we give to Nigerians, especially our youth, who have dumped their certificates because they can't use it for anything?
Yes. And let me take you back to the national anthems we've had and the one we are having now. Second stanza of books. The first anthem, Nigeria, we heard it. The second stanza said, our flag shall be a symbol. Our flag shall be a symbol that truth and justice reign. In truth or battle or honor, and this we count as gain. To hand unto our children the youth a banner without stem.
Nobody is standing over.
Yes, nobody is standing over. Those who are there, they are still there. Now see, some of them were there in the 1970s, some were there in the 1980s, some of them were even the allies of Simon Bako and the rest of them, but they are still there. Some of them were even there in 1993. That is why the system is not even open to taking the youth. And that's why you see this frustration. That is why you see more people into the one they call Yahoo Yahoo, that's internet fraud. You understand? And the second stanza of the current anthem is a prayer for the youth, exclusively. O God of creation, O God of creation, direct our noble course. Noble course, that one. That's right. Help our youth that truth to know. And they now pray that another said to live in just a great lofty height attain to build a nation. Who are these builders? The youth. To build a nation where peace. But unfortunately, the youth has not even been empowered to so build anything. So you hear a minister say that when the WHO is saying that Nigeria is underserved in terms of medical personnel, a minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria is saying that people who have graduated as doctors should go to the farm. Then a former minister to Cries in the past administration, very notorious, doctors, resident doctors, and the National Association of Resident Doctors, NAPS, will say we want to embark on strike. He will say, if you go on strike, we will get new persons. Where are you going to get them from? I told you here the other day that a former governor of this state, in fact the past governor, he did the past governor of this state, there was a time a particular institution wanted to embark on a strike for non-payment of salaries and the emolument of their of the teachers. The rector approves that governor and said, sir, we may be embarking on strike, the money is not coming, my staff are not happy. The governor looked at his cabinet members who were there with him and said, Mr. Commissioner, do you have a child in that school? He said, no. You have a child? He said, no. He said, myself too, I don't have a child. Please, if you want to embark on strike, bring the key. It's good to me. This is the kind of
selfishness.
I don't know what to say. So this is the kind of character and selfishness that the political class exhibits. So this is what I urge every young Nigerian, please don't go the way of this young man. Believe in yourself, keep working hard. Your education, the certificate you acquire may not give you something today. Definitely someday it may pay off. It may even be in your adulthood. Maybe somehow you get something, now you'll be happy for it. But then I think the university should begin to talk about vocation and begin to offer courses on vocation, even on trading, even on skills, even on aptitude. Those things should be embedded in our curriculum. Thank you so much.
All right, wonderful viewers. I'm sure you've heard it all in as much as you couldn't call, but I'm sure the analyst made a very wonderful and sterling point concerning the last segment of our discourse this morning. Remember, he talked about a student. You saw him who graduated about 13 years ago, about 14, 15 years now, who had to burn his certificate because he has tried, according to him, has taught the 36 states of Nigeria without getting a job. And the only job he's able to secure is the one that is owned by a schoolmate who could not even attend the secondary school, and that is his employer. And because of that, he decided to burn his certificate. And the analyst has advised, and I equally join him in saying, it is not important. I also want you to know that education is not all about the certificate. The certificate is just a proof that you have these things in you. And that why are you burning them? You paid for them, you suffered for it, you keep it. Even if you wouldn't use it, your children will know that their father did something like this. So why do you want to burn that?
Before we go in addition to that, you see, another frustrating thing is the condition of working man. That's what they call contract staff these days. Banks are guilty of that.
Yes.
You hire a graduate who has just left university after studying banking and finance. Sometimes second degree, you pay them 30,000 naira and you give them 5, and you tell them to go to the streets and look for customers to open new bank account to become a
commentator once said that is introducing our ladies to prostitution.
Yes, I was coming to that. You will even give them target of 10 million naira. You are paying them 30,000 naira, and you are not even paying them directly. You are paying them through a firm.
Through their
outsourcing firms. You understand? The salary may be 60,000, maybe 70. They will cut it in half and pay them one half, and then return the other half. Then you see, for this very reason, our girls, young girls who should be productive, have been exposed to a lot of things in order to meet up. Maybe something else may go into it. So this is the topic I want us to also talk about. You understand? Maybe
because it's ongoing as we speak.
Ongoing as we speak. So a graduate who is in that condition and now see somebody who even consider a dropout. You understand? Building house, marrying, doing many things. You see that it becomes a frustrating thing. So it's unfortunate.
All right, wonderful viewers, there is one thing I want to remind us, irrespective of the lexical definition of education. I've personally seen education as a fortune, which there is no misfortune that can depress it. Education at home is a companion. Abroad is an introduction. In solitude, it is a solace. It is all about man. It is one thing that concretizes the value of a man and that of a woman. So it is not all about the certificate. The certificate is just an evidence that you have something upstairs. Yes. So why burning it? You don't have to do that. You can give it to your children, will see that and know, yes, their father tried. It's just that the system could not allow him to succeed. It is important. So it is an advice, just like the analyst had said, it is an advice to all our Nigerian students. Don't allow yourself, don't be frustrated by the system. I want to tell you, Nigeria will be better tomorrow. Nigeria will be better tomorrow. I know those of us who had witnessed this country from the 80s, and I know it was far better. I think as we develop, it would have been better. Unfortunately, I want to tell you that Nigeria is going to be better tomorrow. Abia is our state. Nigeria is our country. And today, Comrade Nnamdi in Lekwachi. We are very proud to have you again.
Thank you so much. I want to urge the youth once again to keep going, because some of these are the things you see, and it will culminate to suicide. I'm happy it didn't end in suicide for him. Let's keep going. Thank you. Yes.
Thank God it didn't end in suicide for him. That's a wonderful one.
Exactly, yes.
Because a lot would have committed suicide because of that. Because when the doors and windows of your vision are closed, that is when you commit suicide. There are better days ahead, so don't commit suicide. On this note, we are coming to the end of today's program. Thank you, comrade, for being part of today's program. And this is your command, Chinedu and TLA. And then we ask you to keep staying with Living Television. We'll be back again on Friday for issues of the moment with a better topic. Keep watching Living TV. For me now, it's bye until we come again.